Hey, what is going on, everybody? I have a super exciting video that I'm pumped to bring you, and I wanted to share with y'all some components you find on a standard asphalt shingle roof. So the first thing you'll notice over here is going to be the actual roof decking. This is the fundamental foundation for everything that goes on with your roof. The next thing you'll notice is this black metal is a drip edge flashing that's required to be installed on the entire perimeter of your home to prevent water from being able to rot any issues at your fascia boards around the perimeter. The next thing we're going to move to is going to be leak barrier. This membrane is installed in certain areas above your gutters to prevent ice dams, but in valleys and sidewalls to prevent high water volume from coming into the house. Then we get into a starter strip shingle, and this is the first line of defense against strong winds. It has an adhesive bond here that seals to the shingles to help hold it down, and that's also on the entire perimeter of your roof. Then you'll get into your synthetic underlayment fastened with cap fasteners to give yourself a nice sound covering on the roof deck so that you can then install your shingles of your choice in a properly installed fashion to prevent any blow-offs or issues in the future. Know your components and know that your roof is installed right. All right, so deep dive into this model roof behind me. The first thing that I want to talk about is your roof decking. As mentioned earlier, the roof decking is the foundation of your roof assembly. The roof sheathing is regulated by building code. It's the first component that's installed on top of the actual rafters inside of your attic, and all of your roof decking is required to be identified with a grade mark that can be identified on the back side of it from inside of the attic. That's probably one of the most common things that I notice when we do attic inspections is roof sheathing that's installed on homes before that was required and now is no longer compliant by building code. So it needs to be rated to handle the weight and extreme temperature fluctuations that our Middle Tennessee summers and winters bring our way. So the first thing that any contractor needs to be aware of is what is actually required of the roof sheathing to make sure you have a sound foundation to the rest of your assembly. All right, now let's get into drip edge flashing. What is drip edge? Where is it required to go? How is it installed? So you'll notice on the whole perimeter of this mock roof, we have this black metal flashing that's installed. The purpose of that drip edge is to prevent water that comes down off of the roof from being able to go in and rot any wood out that's behind your gutters, and also prevent the same to be done up here on the pitched portions of your roof that we'll get into later. Now, where I see a lot of roofers fail here is drip edge by building code is required to extend a minimum of 2 inches back onto the roof deck. That's why we use a larger drip edge, because your standard drip edge flashing that you pick up is only about 2 inches back. So if your fascia board on the front of your home and your roof sheathing aren't perfectly aligned, you're not going to meet the minimum building requirements of that structure. So make sure the drip edge being used on your home that A, your contractor knows the right kind to use, and that you know, so that you can stop anybody from making mistakes before they do it on your house. All right, so continuing on, let's dive into leak barrier. What is it? Where is it required to be installed? On this model, you notice it being installed right here above where the gutter would be. This is considered a leak barrier being installed on the eaves of the home. This is very popular in northern climates where ice damming is a lot more prevalent, because this extra membrane here is going to prevent any water that backs up in an ice dam from actually being able to penetrate through and cause damage to your roof sheathing. This membrane, though, is also required by building codes to be installed as a valley liner inside of your valleys to protect against any high water volume that comes into those areas. But again, where I see a lot of contractors fail here is majority of your shingle manufacturers require that this leak barrier be installed 5 inches up sidewalls where a sidewall intersects with the roof. And guys skip that all the time because they want to get these jobs done and they want to get them done quick. But if you want a roof that's actually backed by the manufacturer based on the warranty terms from that manufacturer, make sure it's all installed correctly. So if you notice this leak barrier going down, make sure it wraps up those sidewalls, goes in those valleys, and if you're in a climate that it's required, that it's on your eaves as well. All right, so let's transition in and talk a little bit about synthetic roofing felt. We all remember the old felt paper that used to be used when you installed a roof back in the day, and if you've had a re-roof done, you see all the little bits of felt paper that get all over the yard and make an absolute mess. Well, those days are gone because now we use synthetic roofing felt. And this is an actual product that is designed to go onto your roof sheathing and allow this to still breathe but still shed water like it's supposed to and give you a protective layer underneath these shingles to allow all the water to shed off. And one thing you'll notice is a lot of these plastic cap nails that are around this whole roof, that is actually a requirement by building codes that you use a cap fastener when you're securing your underlayment so that it gives a nice watertight seal and satisfies minimum building codes. So we'll go over in a later video some things to keep an eye out for when installing synthetic underlayment, but overall, that covers everything on synthetic underlayment. Okay, so now let's talk about a starter shingle. Why do you need it? What is it? Where does it go? Nobody knows what a starter strip shingle is, but all roofers will go out and say, we install starter strip shingle. Yeah, if you're installing a roof the way the manufacturer suggests, then you're installing a starter strip shingle because, as mentioned earlier, this is your home's first line of defense against high winds coming in and slamming into the house, because the first areas that are going to be prone to storm damages from high winds is going to be your eaves along here and your rakes that go up on the side. And so your starter strip has an adhesive bond that bonds to the shingles here on the eave as well as up the rakes to prevent any uplift from catching these areas and causing those shingles to blow off. So a starter strip shingle is 100% going to make or break whether your roof stands the test of time. All right, and lastly, we get into the part that everybody actually sees, and that's your roofing shingles. This is actually a GAF Timberline HDZ weathered wood shingle that you see displayed here, and also the proper staggered courses to start this when you're installing a roof. It is against the manufacturer's recommendations to install these architectural shingles vertically, what they call racking, and so it needs to have a staggered method, and the reason behind this is it offsets a lot of these keyways for water to still be able to shed off of the roof and not continue to travel back behind shingles, and it just helps further interlock the components to make them that much more stronger to be able to uphold and support the wind rating that the manufacturers sell these with. Now, one thing that you want to notice is properly installed fasteners is one of the main leaks that we see on some asphalt shingle roofs. Crooked nails are going to leak every time. So you want to make sure whoever you're hiring to do this has somebody on site that's monitoring to make sure all these shingles are being installed properly so you don't end up with a headache in the future. All right, so now comes the fun part. We went over all of the serious stuff, but let's talk about some things that I've personally seen in the field being done by contractors in my area on roofs that I've inspected, and I want to prevent you from the hell this will cause. One of the first ones, I talked about cap nails earlier. If you catch a roofer slap stapling your underlayment, slap them off of your roof, because all they have done is put a ton of micro holes all in your synthetic and violated building codes in an attempt to do a job faster and put more money in their pocket. Or they just don't know. But ignorance does not excuse you from the law. The other thing, we talked about drip edge. Don't let a contractor say you don't need to use drip edge because it will cause a lot of issues on your home. Another one, starter shingles. You'll see roofers flip a shingle over to use as their starter shingle, and if you see a roofer flipping shingles over as a starter, flip them off of your roof. Don't play around when it comes to your roof, and if you ever need professional advice, guidance, questions, reach out to us. We'd be glad to help you out, and we hope you enjoyed.